Alright guys, welcome back. It's Monday. Let's get right into it. We're going to be going to Genesis 36 to 40 today. Alright, the descendants of Esau. This is the account of the descendants of Esau, also known as Edom. Esau married two young women from Canaan, Adah, the daughter of Elon, the Hittite, and Oholibamah, the daughter of Anna, and granddaughter of Zibeon, the Hivite. He also married his cousin Basemeth, who was the daughter of Ishmael and the sister of Nebaioth. Adah gave birth to a son named Eliphaz for Esau. Basemeth gave birth to a son named Reuel. Oholibamah gave birth to sons named Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. All of these sons were born to Esau in the land of Canaan. Esau took his wives, his children, and his entire household, along with his livestock and cattle, all the wealth he had acquired in the land of Canaan, and moved away from his brother Jacob. There was not enough land to support them both because of the livestock and possessions they had acquired. So Esau settled in the hill country of Seir. This is the account of Esau's descendants, the Edomites, who lived in the hill country of Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, son of Esau's wife Adah, and Reuel, and the son of Esau's wife Basemeth. The descendants of Eliphaz were Timon, Omar, Zepho, Gatam, and Kenaz. Timnah, the concubine of Esau's son Eliphaz, gave birth to a son named Amalek. These are the descendants of Esau's wife Adah. The descendants of Reuel were Nahath, Zerah, Semoth, and Mizah. These are the descendants of Esau's wife Basemeth. Esau also had sons through, the daughter of Anna and the granddaughter of Zibeon. Their names were Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. We're kind of rolling through this because these really aren't important. We'll see. We'll see. Anyway, yeah. Hold on one second. Alright. The descendants of Esau's oldest son, Eliphaz, became the leaders of the clans of Timon, Omar, Zepho, Kenaz, Korah, Gatam, and Amalek. These are the clan leaders in the land of Edom who descended from Eliphaz. All of these were descendants of Esau's wife, Adah. The descendants of Esau's son, Reuel, became the leaders of the clans of Nahath, Zerah, Shema, and Mizah. These are the clan leaders in the land of Edom who came from the descendant of Reuel. All of these were descendants of Esau's wife Basemeth. The descendants of Esau and his wife, O Lord, had become the leaders of the clans of Jeush, Jalem, and Korah. These are the clan leaders who descended from O Lord, the daughter of Anna. These are the clans that descended blah, blah, blah. The original peoples of Edom. These are the names of the tribes that descended. The descendants of Lotan, Rahori, and Hinnom. The descendants of Shanam, Alva, blah, 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 blah. Rulers of Edom. These are the kings who ruled the land of Edom before any kings ruled over the Israelites. Bela, the son of Beor, who ruled Edom. Really, I don't see. This is literally just a list of names. I'm sure they're going to reference these later. So let's bookmark this page as like a reference page to come back to, but like reading it, I'm not going to remember this. These are the names of the leaders of the clans that descended from Esau who lived in the places named for them: Timnah, Alva, Jahath, Oholibamah, Elah, Pinan, Kenaz, Timon, Mibzar, Magdiel, and Aram. These are the leaders of the clans of Edom listed according to their settlements in the land they occupied. They all descended from Esau, the ancestors of the Edomites. I do think it's cool how, this is like a legitimate historical record, it appears. I haven't fact checked it, but I'm sure I'm not the first person to, 2,000, more than that, thousands of year old book, all these bloodlines and descendants and stuff. It's just cool. Make a note of that. Let's move on to Genesis 37. All right, Joseph dreams. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This is the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the sons of their father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things his brothers were doing. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. One night Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more than ever. Listen to this dream, he said. They've been doing that for this long, bro. Let me tell you about my dream. One thing no one wants to know is about your dream. You know what? I think I'm on the brother side. I lost my place. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up and your bundles all gathered around the bow before my... Bro, why would you share this with somebody? His brothers said, "So you think you'll be our king, huh? Do you think you will reign over us?" And they hated him even more because of the dream and the way he talked about them. Yeah, it's kind of a douchey thing to share with somebody. Soon Joseph had another dream. Again, he told his brothers about it. Listen, I had even you're not going to believe this. I had another dream. This time, the sun, moons, and 11 stars bowed before me. The time he told his dream to his fathers was brothers, but the father scolded him. What kind of dream is that? When your mother and your brothers and I actually come to bow before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his dad wondered what his dreams meant. Soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flock at Shechem. When they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, "Your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Get ready, and I will send you to them." "I'm ready to go," Joseph replied. "Go and see how your brothers and the flocks are getting along. Then come back and bring me a report." So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. When he arrived there, a man from the area noticed him wandering about the countryside and asked what he's looking for. "Looking for my brothers. Do you know where they are pasturing their sheep?" "Yeah. They moved on from here, but I heard them say, 'Let's go over to Dothan.'" So Joseph went to Dothan, and he found him there. Alright, now here we go. I don't think this is an appropriate response to oversharing dreams, but, whatever. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him from the distance, and as he approached, they made plans to kill him. "Here comes the dreamer," they said. "Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns, and then we can tell our father a wild animal is eating him, and then we'll see what becomes of his dreams." Hey! But when Reuben had heard of their scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. "Let's not kill him. Why should we shed any blood? Let's throw him into this empty cistern in the wilderness, and then he'll die without laying a hand on him." Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his dad. Okay, my boy right here is... Yeah, this is a little bit of an overreaction, but at least Reuben's on his side. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off the beautiful robe he was wearing, and then they grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. And now the cistern was empty, there was no water in it, and just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and they saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming towards them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders taking a load of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah said to his brothers, What would we gain from killing our brother? We'd have to cover up this crime. Instead of hurting him, let's just sell him to these traders. After all, he's just our brother." Brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianite traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and they sold him for 20 pieces of silver. Judah and selling stuff for silver. Don't name your kids Judah. Or even Jude. For that. That's a little bit of foreshadowing almost, huh? Let's highlight that. I like to look into this. Again, this is not a Bible study. But I do think that's interesting. Okay, that's Genesis 37:26. Come back to that later. I guess I'll bookmark this one too. Alright, sometime later, Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern, and he saw he was missing. He tore his clothes in grief. Then he went back to his brothers, and he said, "The dude's gone. What are we going to do now?" The brothers had killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in his blood, and they sent the robe to his father with this message: "Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" He recognized it immediately. "This is my son's robe, but my animal must have eaten him." Joseph's clearly been torn to pieces, and then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap. He mourned deeply for his son for a long time. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "I will go to my grave mourning for my son," he would say. And then he would weep. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was a captain of the palace guard. Yeah, the tearing the clothes and burlap thing is recurring, from what I understand. Anyway, Judah and Tamar. About this time, Judah left home and moved to Edom, where he stayed with a man named Hira. There he saw a Canaanite woman, the daughter of Shua, and he married her. When he slept with her, she became pregnant. She gave birth to a son, and they named the boy Then she became pregnant again, and they named that son Onan. When she gave birth to a third son, they named him Shelah. At the time of Shelah's birth, they were living at Kezeb. In the course of time, Judah had arranged for his firstborn son to marry a young woman, Tamar, but was a wicked man in the Lord's sight, so the Lord took his life. Damn, I wonder what did. What the hell did do? I want to know more about Then Judah said to brother Onan, "Go and marry Tamar, as our law requires. The brother of a man who has died, you must produce an heir for your brother." But Onan was not willing to have a child with who would not be his own heir, so whenever he had intercourse with his brother's wife, he prevented her from having a child. The Lord considered it evil. So the Lord took his life too. Holy cow. And then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, "Go back to your parents' home and remain a widow until my son Shelah is old enough to marry you." But Judah didn't really intend to do this because he was afraid Shelah would also die like his other brothers. So Tamar went back to live at their father's home. Some years later, Judah's wife died, and after the time of mourning was over, Judah and his friend Hirah, the Adullamite, went up to Timnah to supervise the shearing of his sheep. Someone told Tamar, "Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep." Tamar was aware that Shelah had grown up, and no arrangements had been made for her to come and marry him. So she changed out of her widow's clothing, and she covered herself with a veil to disguise herself. Then she sat beside the road at the entrance of the village to Edom, which is on the road to Timnah. Little boy! DJ! Shh!
Sorry, I'm trying to take it from him.
Hey! Okay. She changed out of her widow's clothing, and she covered herself with a veil. She sat beside the road, the entrance of the village. Judah noticed her, and he thought she was a prostitute. She had covered her face. So he stopped and he propositioned her. "Let me have sex with you," he said, not realizing it was his own daughter-in-law. "How much are you willing to pay?" "I'll send you a young goat for my flock." "But what will you give me to guarantee that you will send this goat?" "What kind of guarantee do you want?" "Leave me your identification seal and its cord and a walking stick you're carrying." So Judah obliged, and then he had intercourse with her, and she became pregnant. Afterwards, she went home, took off the veil, and put on the widow's clothing as usual. Later, Judah asked his friend Hirah, the Adullamite, to take the young goat. The woman had to pick up things after he'd given her his guarantee, but Hirah couldn't find her. So he asked the man who lived there, "Where can I find the shrine prostitute who was sitting beside the road at the entrance to Edom? We never had one there." And so Hirah returned to Judah, and he said, "I couldn't find her anywhere, and the men of the village claimed he never had one there." And he let her keep the things he gave her. Sent the young goat as we agreed, but she couldn't find her. We'd be the laughingstock of the village if we went back to look for her. About 3 months later, Judah was told, "Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has acted like a prostitute, and now because of this, she's pregnant. Bring her out and let her be burned." Jesus Christ, dude. But as they were talking her out, killing her, she sent this message to her father-in-law. "The man who owns these things got me pregnant. Look closely. Whose seal, cord, and walking stick are these?" Judah saw this and said, "Man, she's more righteous than I am, because I didn't arrange for her to marry... She is more righteous than I am because I didn't arrange for her to marry my son," and Judah never slept with Tamar again. Well, the time came for Tamar to give birth, and it was discovered that she was carrying twins. While she was in labor, one of the babies reached out his hand. The midwife grabbed it and tied a scarlet string around his wrist, announcing this one came out first. Then he pulled back his hand, and out came his brother. "What? How'd you break out first?" So he was named Perez. And then the baby with the scarlet string on his wrist was born and named Zerah. Perez means breaking out. Zerah means scarlet. Genesis 39. Joseph in Potiphar's house. 1 second here. Alright. Joseph was taken to Egypt by the Ishmaelite traders. He was purchased by Potiphar, an Egyptian officer. Potiphar was the captain of the guard for Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. The Lord was with Joseph, so he succeeded in everything he did as he served in the home of his Egyptian master. Potiphar noticed this and realized that the Lord was with him, giving him success in everything he did. This pleased Potiphar, so he soon made Joseph his personal lieutenant. He put him in charge of the entire household and everything he owned. From the day Joseph was put in charge of his master's house and property, the Lord began to bless the house for Joseph's sake. All his household affairs ran smoothly, and his crops and his livestock flourished. So he gave Joseph complete administrative responsibility over everything he owned. Brilliant, man. With Joseph there, he didn't worry about a thing except for what to eat. Joseph was very handsome and well built. Potiphar's wife soon began to look at him. She asked him to sleep with her. Joseph refused. "My master trusts me with everything in this entire house. No one has more authority than me. He held back nothing from me except you because you're his wife. How could I do such a thing? It'd be a great sin against God." She kept pushing it, kept refusing it, kept out of her way as much as possible. Smart man. One day, no one was around when he went to do his work. She came and grabbed him by his cloak, demanding, "Come on, do it." Joseph tore himself away, but he left his cloak in his hand as he ran from the house. When she saw she was holding his cloak and he had fled, she called out to her servants, and soon all the man came running. "Look," she said, "my husband has brought this Hebrew slave here to make a fool of us. He came into my room to rape me." Nothing has changed. Wow, I didn't know this was in this book. This is like something you would see on a YouTube short. Wow. What a bitch. She kept the cloak with her until her husband came. She told him the story. But when I screamed, he ran outside. Now Joseph is... So Potiphar's pissed. She took Joseph, threw him in the prison. Man. But the Lord was with Joseph in prison, and he showed him his faithful love. And the Lord made Joseph a favorite with the prison warden. Before long, the warden put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners and everything that happened to them in prison. The warden had no more worries because Joseph took care of everything. Man, it must be nice. God coming in clutch. All right, Joseph interprets 2 dreams. Here we go with this dude talking about dreams again, dude. Hang tight. We're going to pause right here. You don't watch it when I post it. DJ, go away. You can't have that, buddy. Stop licking the box. Hey, what's in the box? DJ, get back. Alright. Joseph's back to some bullshit. Some time later, Pharaoh's chief cupbearer and chief baker offended their royal master. Pharaoh became angry with these guys, and he put him in prison where Joseph was. He remained in prison for quite some time. Captain of the guard signed them to Joseph. Again, they really like Joseph. While they were in prison, Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker each had a dream. Both dreams had their own meaning. When Joseph saw them the next morning, he noticed they were both upset. What's wrong, he asked. We both had dreams last night, but no one can tell us what they mean. Interpreting dreams is God's business, Joseph replied. Go ahead and tell me your dreams. So the chief cupbearer told Joseph his dream first. I saw a grapevine in front of me. The vine had 3 branches that began to bud and blossom. As soon as it produced clusters of ripe grapes, I was holding Pharaoh's wine cup in my hand. So I took a cluster of grapes and I squeezed some juice into the cup. Then I placed the cup in his hand. That is what the dream means, Joseph said. 3 branches represent... Oh, this is what the dream means, Joseph said. 3 branches represent 3 days. Within 3 days, Pharaoh will lift you up and restore you to your position as chief cupbearer. And please remember me, and do me a favor when things go well for you. Mention me to Pharaoh, so he might let me out of this place. For I was kidnapped in the land of Hebrews, and now I'm here in prison, but I didn't do anything to actually be here. I didn't do nothing. When the chief baker saw that Joseph had given the first dream such a positive interpretation, he said to Joseph, I had one too. In my dream, there were 3 baskets of white pastries stacked to my head. The top basket contained all kinds of pastries for Pharaoh, but the birds came in. Okay, I have a prediction. This is not going to go as well as the first dream. This is what the dream means. The 3 baskets represent 3 days. And 3 days from now, you're going to get lifted up and impaled on a pole. And then birds will come and peck away at your flesh. Pharaoh's birthday came 3 days later, and he prepared a banquet for all of his officials and staff. He summoned the cupbearer and baker to join. He restored the cupbearer and handed his cup. And then Pharaoh impaled the chief baker just as Joseph had predicted when he interpreted his dream. Pharaoh's chief cupbearer, however, forgot all about Joseph and never gave him another thought. We're out with the bang. That was beautiful. Alright, guys. Well, until tomorrow. I can't wait to see what chapter 41 has.